Growing up in a neighborhood filled with gun violence has caused me to live in a constant state of fear and anxiety. The sounds of gunshots and police sirens are all too familiar to me. I've witnessed firsthand the devastating effects that gun violence has on families and communities. I've lost friends, and I know of others who've lost someone close to them as well at the hands of guns. And it's absolutely devastating. For years, gun control has been a major public safety concern in the United States. And despite the high statistics that we have regarding this issue, they continue to remain unresolved, leaving people such as myself feeling unsafe and vulnerable. Well, how about you? How do you feel about this? It's time for us to take action. We need stricter gun control laws to help protect us and keep our communities safe. Now, you might be wondering, how can we implement stricter gun laws? Well, one way that we can do this is by making background checks be mandatory before being able to purchase a firearm. You see, federal law doesn't require background checks if you purchase a gun from a private gun sale or a gun show. So, what this means is that individuals who would normally fail a background check, for example, criminals, people that we don't want to get their hands on guns, are able to purchase from these vendors. And we already have high statistics for gun related deaths, gun violence, and gun injury. They're just going to continue to skyrocket if we continue to let criminals have access to guns. According to the CDC in 2020, there were 45,222 gun related deaths in the United States. That's 124 people dying from a gun injury each day. If this doesn't show you that something needs to be done, I don't know what else will. You see, background checks can serve as a preventative measure to help us filter out the best and worst candidates for gun ownership. The best candidates, law-abiding citizens who can be responsible and pass their background check. And then the worst candidates, criminals who would like to purchase a gun illegally and they can't even pass a background check. So again, you see why we need background checks to help us implement stricter gun control laws. The second way that we can implement stricter gun control laws and protect our communities is by making mental health screenings be mandatory before purchasing a gun. You see, suicide is a major issue in the United States, and doing this will help lower the suicide rates. In fact, 1/2 of all suicide deaths are by firearm. And I like to share two statistics from the Education Fund to Stop Gun Violence with you. Nearly 24,000 Americans die by firearm suicide every year, and the firearm rate in America is 8 times higher than in other countries. You see, mental health and suicide, they go hand in hand. People who are suicidal tend to act on their suicidal thoughts when they're in crisis by using a gun. That's the main tool of their choice. So this is why we don't want these individuals to be in possession or have access to a gun. The suicide rates are high, but we want to lower them. And so mental health screenings are a way that we can implement stricter gun control laws, help protect our communities, and again, keep our people safe and lower the rates. The third way that we can implement and use stricter gun control laws is to help enforce public safety. You see, there have been so many mass shootings in the United States recently, and they could have been prevented. But because we don't have stricter gun control laws, sadly, they're only going to continue to increase. So many people have lost their lives, innocent people, and been injured. Again, this could have been prevented if we had stricter gun control laws. Think about more recent mass shootings, the Uvalde school shooting, the Orlando nightclub shooting, and the Charleston church shooting, to name a few. Very tragic. According to the National Library of Medicine, roughly 31% of the world's mass shootings have been in the United States. Other countries have strict gun control laws implemented, but not us. Hopefully we will very soon, though. And again, just think about the psychological, emotional, and physical trauma that not only the victims and their families face, but we as a community face. I mean, I personally related to these issues because when I go out into the public and I'm in a large crowd, I have that fear of not knowing who has a gun or how they plan to use it. So I feel uneasy and scared, and I'm sure you have as well. That's why it's important for us to be properly educated about gun use and misuse, whether we're an owner or not, whether we're an adult or a child. We need to also teach our children about this issue as well, because so many of them are becoming victims and being involved in these incidents as well. You see, guns are deadly and powerful weapons, and they need to be treated as so. Everyone is not capable of handling a gun. So again, we need to understand the responsibility and be properly educated, and this will help keep our communities safe. So with gun control, it's not saying that we want to get rid of gun use or gun purchases completely. No, we just want to regulate who can use a gun and how they're used. This is something that we owe to ourselves and our community. This change. None of us should have to live in fear of being shot. So I challenge you, whether you're a gun owner or not, to become an advocate for stricter gun control laws. Thank you.